before I say anything, I wanted to share with you a miracle that our family has received. On the day that Dad died, so before Dad had passed, I actually, I had many telephone providers. I was moving from one to the other. I went back to Telstra. This is relevant, just for a second. I went back to Telstra, and on the day he passed, I received all my voicemails from about a year ago. And one of them was a voicemail from Dad. It was the day I actually dropped him off to the airport, and I had never received the voicemail until the day after he passed. As Christians, we believe in life after death, and I don't think I've really understood the resurrection until I've seen death. We're so lucky that we can celebrate life. I'm just going to share it with you. Essentially, in English, I'll explain first. It just says, "Hi Rose, I'm just letting you know that I made it to the gate and I'm waiting for them to call me." Sorry, one second.
When you get slowly, something great, I understand that job. Call.
Yay. Okay, I will now say what I've written. Okay. They say grief comes in ebbs and flows, so please bear with me. First, we thank God for everything and through all things always, for He has protected and guarded us and brought us to this hour. We say this in our thanksgiving prayer always. And just like we are thankful for every day, today is no different. We are thankful that God has given Dad rest and is with him in heaven. Unfortunately, Dad has been in some pain, but no longer. And we thank God that we have known and loved an incredible man like my father. Throughout his illness, Dad kept saying, "I know where I am going, and I am so happy. This is all bonus time." Absolutely nothing broke his spirit. You see, he suffered a large heart attack in February of this year and was in ICU, and it wasn't really looking good. But he got better and he came home to us, and God gave us many more months of what he called bonus time. Now, what to say about Dad? Nothing I can say will ever encapsulate the incredible man that was my father, but I'm going to try. So, Dad was not God, but he helped me understand God through his unconditional love. He was the kindest and most thoughtful man in the world. On my first day of my first job in the city, he didn't want me to take the train by myself, so he drove me there. So he drove me in. I said, "Don't worry, I'll take care of myself." He took me out to lunch and was there for me with the biggest smile on his face at 5 o'clock on the dot. He actually did this for me often, on many occasions. When I was younger and on my red peas, I got into a small car accident that was my fault. I was worried to tell Dad. We didn't have all the money in the world, and I felt guilty for wasting it. I remember the phone call very clearly. "Dad, I had a small car accident. It's totally my fault." He said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Is anyone else hurt?" I said, "No." He said, "Where are you?" I told him. He said, "I'm coming there right now." I started to explain myself. "I'm so sorry, Dad. The insurance and the car." And he interrupted me. He said, "Tuz, I don't care, my Henrikish, I don't care about any of that as long as you're okay. The car and the money can get stuff. You are the most important thing. Never be scared to tell me anything. I love you." I remember the relief that washed over me and how loved I felt in that moment. Best dad ever. Just going to take it slow, okay? And if you mention to him that you liked something, that's it. Dad would literally put that item out of stock in every store within a 5-kilometer radius and deliver it to you. He was also very genuine. He didn't even do this just for me, but to all our family and to all our friends. He was also very generous. He's been playing us a fool our whole lives. I found out, actually, the day after he died, that anytime anyone would come over unexpectedly, he would give them whatever he had. Mum told me when I was younger, I used to eat pigeon, and say if we only had 4 pigeons and we received an unexpected guest, he would say, "Ana lissa waken dulwati," which means I have just eaten, I just ate right now. And he would give them his meal, whomever it was, whether it was family or friend or stranger. He shared his meal with them. He actually would say this to me all the time, but I only just found out that he had not, in fact, just eaten. He was a happy and joyous man. When he had to be attached to an IV, the nurse was explaining to him that it was going to be running all night. He said, "Oh, that's fine." He wrapped his arm around the IV pole and said, "Can you take a selfie with me and the IV? Because I spent so much time with it." He was every nurse's favorite patient. I mean that literally. They truly loved him. It got to a point that as a new nurse would come onto the picture, I would ask, "Is he your favorite patient yet?" A cheeky nod later. The answer was always yes. When any doctor or nurse came to give him his medication, they needed to confirm his name. So they would say, "All right, Mr. Buttress, what's your name?" And he would say, "Bill." "Okay, what's your last name?" With the littlest smile, he'd be like, "Clinton." That joke had a 100% success rate. Here is a message from his hematologist. "It was my privilege to have been able to care for your father. He was always so kind and showed incredible strength in the face of difficult medical problems over the years. I wish you and your family the best as you support each other to deal with his loss. Like I said, he was loved by everyone." My dad was a big foodie, and my love of food came from him. When I was 7, I asked him, just in passing, "What does lobster taste like?" For my 8th birthday, we went at Golden Century Seafood Restaurant. Some would say lobster is wasted on an 8-year-old palate. My dad would disagree. If people think I am loving, it is because my dad's love was unconditional and all-encompassing. If people think I am kind, it is because he showed me how to be the kindest. If people think I am thoughtful, it's because my dad spent his whole life teaching me how to be thoughtful towards others. Mum and Dad are the best parents that I could have asked for. Dad was and still is the best dad that I have ever seen. I am so blessed and honoured to be called his daughter. Now I would like to read a small poem called The Dash by Linda Elise. It's in your booklets if you'd like to read. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend, who referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that the first date was the date of birth, and he spoke of the second date with tears, but said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For the dash represented all the time that they had spent alive on earth, and now only those who knew him and loved them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we lived and loved, and how we spent our dash. And I know Dad spent his dash really, really well. Thank you all so much for coming.